Welcome to John Ezra's Sports Channel, and today it is Championship Week 22 predictions. Of course, tonight we have Luton versus Derby. Now, Luton have just started to get a few points on the board and just pull out of that bottom three, and they've started to just get enough of a points gap. If we look at it, just enough points gap in 19th to say we're actually pulling away. The team below them, Oxford in 20th, is on 18th, 18 points. So that's 4 points difference. And by Christmas, keep on like this, and you could quite easily see them 5, 6, 7 points ahead, and wondering what all the fuss was about. So what is it they've done? Win, lose, lose, draw, win, lose. This isn't a bad sign. Who have they lost against? They've lost 3-0 away against Leeds. Well, we know what Leeds are like. Norwich City 4-2 defeat away. Now, actually, I think they should have got more out of that one. I think they were very unlucky to let in 4. But twice they just made massive errors themselves and let Norwich in. So, bar for 2 obvious mistakes, they could have got away with a draw there. Blackburn last time out, I don't think they really turned up to that one, not as well as they could. They certainly were playing good football, but they weren't able to stop Blackburn and this amazing roller coaster that they're on, which just seems to be going one way only, and they're good for them. They're doing really well. And they're playing a Derby team that, the last 3, lose against Leeds, well, we'd expect that, wouldn't we? Draw against Burnley away from home, and they really did well to get that draw. They really, really defended tooth and nail to keep that 0-0. And a 4-0 impressive win at home to Portsmouth, where Portsmouth didn't seem to turn up. So we've got 2 teams here that are like just the chalk and cheese, but they're very, very similar in different ways. And that's the reason that I find it quite difficult. And obviously people out there do seem to be feeling the same way. 1-1, 1-1, 2-1 to Luton, 2-1 to Luton, 1-1 to Derby. Well, 1-1 to Derby, 1-1 draw. None to Derby. A lot of them for draws, a couple for Luton. And you're thinking, will Luton be able to pull that home advantage? But Derby are very good away. They're very good away from home. Burnley, that 0-0 away to Burnley was I think proof that they're equally good at home as they are away, which is strange because the manager's not usually quite as good away as he is at home. Preston 1-1 draw away. Any other ones away? Leeds 2-0 away. You at Leeds only to lose 2-0 is quite an impressive fact there, isn't it? It's really good. Now, I'm going to go with most of you. Luton 1, Derby 1. I think that it's going to be really close, this one, because like I say, they're both different, but they're similar in different ways. They have similar class in different areas, and they're poorer in different areas. I think this could just provide an interesting game, this one. Of course, we should mention also Luton are 19th, Derby are 14th. So, Luton are coming up the table. Derby are sort of hovering around that same position. I think it's a good bet, that one. That's probably you probably got it right, guys. Hull City versus Swansea next, and Hull City, out of the last 6 games, they got 1 point, and it was 2 games ago against Watford, home draw 1-1. Last time out, Coventry, who now obviously new manager, bang, really starting well. 2-1 defeat there against Coventry away, and new manager bounce. They're bound to do well, aren't they? Well, yeah, quite often they do, don't they, for some strange reason. Swansea City, lose, win, draw, win, lose against Sunderland, and they were. This is the critical thing. Their boss came out and criticised certain players for allowing Sunderland back in once they were 2-0 up, and Sunderland came away with a 3-2 win. And you have to think, Sunderland went all that way to Hull, 3-2 win, disappear. They were 2-0 down, and then the Swansea manager turns around and says, "Yeah, I expect a few players to stick two fingers up at me." See my video on Swansea and the manager having players stick two fingers up at him, the other way around. And I think that could just hinder the dressing room. I hope it doesn't, because they did play really well, and I think that was rather unfair. Yeah, they did take their eyes off the ball once they were 2-0 up, but a lot of teams do. They get 2 or 3 up and they think, we're sailing now, and then all of a sudden, bang, 1 or 2 goals, and that's it. The other team's back in it before you even notice it. And I think it's not unknown for teams to come back and win the game. Absolutely not. I think Rotherham were 3-0 up against Norwich and lost 4-3 in the last in the 97th minute or something. So it does happen. Will it cause any problems here? Would lose, win, draw, win, lose? The defeat before that was 3-4 against Leeds. And they did well to score 3, didn't they, against Leeds? But they're playing a Hull City. Lose. Draw against Watford, lose against Coventry. It's just not ticking for Hull City. What are you saying? 1-2, 0-2, 1-1, 1-1, 1-0. We do have people thinking Hull can win this one, probably because of the frictions that have been caused after that Sunderland game. However, I have to think that most of you are probably right. It's quite likely to be either a draw or a Swansea win. I am tempted to go with a draw, but I can see I've put quite a few draws in. Don't want to sit on the fence, so I'm going to go with Hull City 1, Swansea 2, and I'm just going to think that he's not going to have affected the dressing room environment there. Let's move on. We move on to Portsmouth and Portsmouth Coventry. Now, Portsmouth are quite good at home. They're quite difficult to break down, but they can just stand still and allow the attackers straight through. And they have done, but they have had a good period. Lose, win, draw, lose. They came off the bottom. They're now 22nd. They were out of the bottom 3. Excuse me, but they're playing a Coventry side still in this manager bounce period, who've drawn against Cardiff, and then Millwall 1-0 win, West Brom 2-0 defeat away from home. Okay, and then last time out a 2-1 win at home to Hull. Now, I think Coventry are playing good football. I don't think it's outstanding. I don't think it's as good as what they can play. Can they get better? Can he get a better song out of them? Absolutely. There's no way on earth he's not going to get a better song out of this lot. But he's still learning their pros and cons. Against a Portsmouth side who are actually quite good at home. Certainly here we've got 3-1 win at home to Preston. 3-0 win at home to Bristol City. And a 0-0 draw at home to Norwich. So they have the last 3 games without a defeat at home. So you're thinking, I think that they could do well at home, but I don't think they're going to beat Coventry. You're thinking 1-3, 1-2, 2-2, 1-1, 0-1. I'd probably agree. I'm going to go in. This is one where I'm going to go on the fence, and I'm going to go Portsmouth 1, Coventry 1, and we'll quickly go on to Hillsborough. Hillsborough, where Sheffield Wednesday are playing Stoke City. Now, Stoke City, what on earth has gone wrong with Stoke City? They started quite well, and then they showed and at first they started to show they could really score, and then they stopped, and it was like, well, what's happening here? Then they started giving stupid mistakes away at the back, and you're thinking, what on earth are they doing? I mean, we sold you Victor Johansson, and I've seen him do several mistakes at the back where he just gifts it to the striker, and you think, what are you doing that for? Stoke City away at Wednesday, 1-1, 0-0, 2-0 defeat, 2-1 defeat, 2-1 defeat, and a 2-2 draw at home to Cardiff. You know, they're not getting anywhere near the results they expect against the poorer sides. But against the bigger sides, Sunderland and Burnley, 2-0 and 2-1. Well, 2-1 and 2-0 if you want it the right way around. Not bad. And they don't actually play too badly. And their defence managed to not make any really stupid mistakes. It's weird. It's a really weird one, Stoke City, isn't it? And it's one of those that I've seen on the internet. People are just gobsmacked. They're thinking, I don't know what to say about Stoke City. Really don't. Friends at Coventry, they were on. I was watching their podcast. Like, I can't really say anything about what the hell do you say about Stoke. Sheffield Wednesday, though, they're very, very good at home. They really are. They always have been. And okay, they can fall apart like they did against Watford at home, but a draw, a win, a draw, a lose, and a win. The only defeat in the last 6 was Blackburn at home. And I tell you what, Blackburn just get the run of the green, don't they? They've just been playing really good football. Not massively brilliant, but good football. And they get the run of the green, and they win more often than not. So, yeah, they've been good to just lose 1-0 at home to Blackburn, and then 3-1 win away at Oxford. But that was then the last straw for the manager, wasn't it? And he got the sack. So let's have a look at what you're saying. 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 3-1, 2-0. I've gone in the middle. I think you're all right. I think it will be a Wednesday walkover. I don't think it'll be as low as 1-0. I think it'll be more goals in it than 1-0, purely on the basis that Sheffield Wednesday do tend to score a few, and when they don't, they do tend to let one in every so often. So I'm going to go with Sheffield Wednesday 2, Stoke City 1. I will move quickly on to Burnley versus Watford. So Burnley versus Watford. Blackburn are later. Burnley versus Watford. Now, Burnley, one of these sides that let's just look at the last game. It was Norwich 1, Burnley 2, and if we look at the stats, 12 shots, 6 on target, 2 goals. Actually, that's actually pretty good. But for them, they'd usually get 3 goals out of 6 shots on target. 10 shots. It's the opposite way around. 10 shots, 5 on target, 2 goals. Yeah, 2 or 3 goals from that is usually their scoring ratio. The other one was Norwich. So they usually don't shoot as often, but quite a lot of them are on target, and quite a lot of them that are on target go in the net. So that's what I want to think about here, because they're at home. I dare say they're not going to shoot that often. They may even not have. They may even have less than 50% possession, but they'll probably have some really good shots, and you can almost guarantee they're going to get 1 or 2 goals. Because they just seem to do that. They get 1 or 2 goals out of 4 or 5 shots on target, and that's the way it seems to go with Burnley. Win, draw, win. The 2 draws, 1-1 against Borough at home and 0-0 against Derby. And this is the one that Derby just seemed to shut up shop. You're not coming past it, and they worked a treat Derby in defence. Absolutely amazing. Burnley should have slaughtered them, but Derby's defence was just amazing. So you can see how Burnley are working at home and how good they are. And against a Watford team, win, draw, win, draw, draw, win. They are on a roll. They are doing really well. They're three draws away, 2-2 at Plymouth. You really would have expected them to get something there, but Plymouth are good at home. They always have been. 2-2, pretty good. Plymouth do tend to score a couple at home, 2 or 3 usually. Not always, but they do. The other one is QPR 0-0 at home and Hull City 1-1 away. So yeah, they have blips. They didn't play too well, I don't think, against Hull City, but they should do well here. I think this is going to be quite an even game. I actually think this, because they're both, again, this is what rather like one of the other games we just mentioned. They're both good in different ways, and probably equally as good in different parts of the field and different styles, but they're equally as good as each other. Totally different ways, but equally as good. What do you think? 2-1 to Burnley, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, 1-0 to Burnley. So most of you thinking, with that home advantage, we can see Burnley just nicking it, but not by much. But then Watford are really good, and they could get a draw. Most people actually saying a draw. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go say Burnley 1, Watford 1, and we'll move on to Cardiff versus Sheffield United. Now, Cardiff, what I say, 21st position versus 1st position Sheffield United, and it's this is an interesting one. Cardiff are they're tightening things up at the back, and they're starting to play really good defensively. If they can get the attack side of it and the shots on goal better, I think they could do really well. Defeat, draw, defeat, draw, defeat, draw. Yeah, 1-3, 1-1, 0-2, 2-2, 0-2, 2-2. You can see that they're starting to pull. They are starting to pull those those games in. The last 3 games they've let last 4 games they've let 2 in, which hasn't been what they've been doing before that. But, up to this point, up to these last 4, certainly they've been really solid at the back. They just seem to be fluctuating a little bit, don't they, in the last 4 games? Because I've come on here thinking, no, they've been really good at defence. But when you look at it, actually, in the last 4, they've actually started to stutter a bit with that defence. But, with a bit more confidence up front, you tend to pull the focus away from the defence into that front and into the opposition's defensive area, so you can take the pressure off your defence. So I still say that is the way that they need to go. Sheffield United, though, draw, win, win, draw, win, win. They drew against Coventry, drew against West Brom. They can make a few. They can make it difficult for themselves because they don't score massively. 3-0 against Oxford was the last time they got scored 3, and I can't think of when it is before then. They don't tend to score 3 that often. What do you all say? 0-2, 0-1, 0-2, 0-1, 0-2. I have to go with one of those. I'll go Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 2, and we'll move on to Leeds versus Oxford. Now, this is interesting for a particular reason, isn't it, guys? Leeds versus Oxford is obviously Oxford have sacked their manager, moved on. I have heard there's a lot of people talking about my newscast about the sacking of Oxford manager, and a lot of them saying, no, you probably got it slightly wrong, John. We did need to get rid of him. There wasn't we just didn't have that we didn't have anything to look forward to. There wasn't anything amazing on the pitch. It was just the same old, and then we didn't seem to be, we were starting to get worse, and nothing was getting done to push themselves back into the sort of gamesmanship they had right at the beginning, and they were just getting a little bit dull, I suppose, is what I'm getting told by the Oxford fans. So, fine. However, you're playing Leeds, and you've done it just before the Leeds game, and Leeds can be very, very ruthless. If they see any sign of weakness, they'll be there at the throat. Leeds United win, lose, win, draw. The 4 goals, 3 goals, none. 2 goals, 3 goals, 1. They can score 2 or 3 every couple of games. And we're talking against Borough, Derby, Luton, Swansea, 4 against Swansea. And you're thinking, hell, what are they going to do against a side showing weakness, which Oxford will be doing whether they want to or not? They've sacked their manager. They are going to be looking slightly weak and slightly worried about what style of manager is going to come in, and how do we make ourselves look good? Forget the people around me. How do I make myself look good for the proposal of the new manager? So you tend to get people playing individually for themselves for just a short while they try and prove that they're better than the people around them. And unfortunately, that's not very good for the team, because they don't play as well as a team when they're trying to prove that they are the best thing on the pitch. So hopefully they'll prove their best on the pitch by playing well together, which can happen. Let's see if it does. But Oxford, lose, draw, lose. Can't see this being a win. You can't either. 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 4-0. I'm going to go roughly down the middle. I'm sorry, Oxford fans. I know that we've got 1 or 2 people who are subscribed. Please, everybody else, do subscribe and like, please. Leeds United 4, Oxford 0. I just cannot see it. I just can't see it. I'm like you. Millwall versus Blackburn. I do apologise, Oxford fans. I hope it isn't. I hope you come away with the win. However, because actually, believe it or not, we're not very keen on Leeds United, like most people. And I hope you do win, but I can't see it. Millwall versus Blackburn next. And Blackburn have had the run of the green for far too long, haven't they? And I can't see it stopping. Millwall were good at home. And I said it for weeks. They're good at home. They're good at home. And as soon as I start putting my money where my mouth is and saying, yep, they're going to win. Draw, lose for Millwall. They're in a bad patch of form at the minute, and they just don't seem to be coming out of it. People seem to be able to pick them off, even at home. Sheffield United 1-0 at her defeat at home. Coventry 1-0 defeat at home. Sunderland 1-1 draw at home. They don't seem to be getting those goals that they were getting at home. Against Blackburn, win. Whoever they meet, they win. 3-1, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0. You can see that there's usually one or two goals in it, but yeah, 3-1 at Cardiff. I'm going to go, what are you saying? 0-1, 1-2, 0-1, 0-1, 1-2. Yeah, I mean, it's 0-1 or 1-2 according to you. So I think Millwall will score at home. So I'm going to go Millwall 1, Blackburn 2, and move on to Plymouth versus Middlesbrough. Another side that is certainly in danger of losing their manager. And we go to Plymouth. Now, Plymouth, draw, lose. They have to turn this one around. This has to be a game where they turn it. What have Borough done? A 6-2 thrashing of Oxford, followed by a lose, a win, a draw, a lose, and a win. The lose was again. The other lose was the two losses were 1-0 at home to Blackburn and 3-1 away at Leeds. See, Borough can score several goals. They can score. They can score freely. Plymouth are usually... This is another one of those Millwalls, isn't it? They have been good at home. They've been good at home all season, and then all of a sudden, in the last 6 games, it's been a 2-2 draw at home, and a 2-1 lose at home to Swansea. The other 4 are away from home. So they've had 4 away ties and 2 at home. They'll be happy to come home. Will that make a difference? Yeah, I think it will. And I don't think many people who I've been speaking to and listening to have actually been thinking about, they've only had 2 home ties in the last 6 games. This is a side that's been travelling most of the time. They'll be happy to be at home for once. What are you saying? It's Plymouth Middlesbrough, 23rd versus 6th. And Borough really, they won the Millwall game last time out. They didn't really play brilliant football for me. They should have done more in that game, but they just didn't seem to do as well as what I thought they would do. You're saying 0-2, 1-3, 2-2, 1-3, 2-3. You're saying lots of goals. Let's stick with lots of goals. I think Plymouth will score. Let's go 1 or 2. I could agree with a 3-2 score. I really could. I could agree with the 2-2. And, there is a chance this could be 2-2. This could be 2-2. But I'm going to move those forward. I'm going to go Plymouth 1, Middlesbrough 3. But don't be surprised if it's not 2-2. QPR versus Preston next. And Preston have been playing really well. I think that Preston certainly have been playing some good football since about the Derby game or just before. I think they started to they're playing really well. Then they had a bit of a dull patch, didn't they, where they just didn't seem to get out of the box and they didn't seem to have that attacking momentum in the final third. And all of a sudden, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, 1-1, 2-0 win away at Cardiff, 1-1. Yeah, okay, there's lots of draws in there. 5 draws, 1 win against Cardiff. The last time out, though, Leeds United, 1-1. And Leeds really did show that they couldn't get past. They couldn't get past that final third. They just couldn't get into it, could they? And QPR, draw, win, draw, win, win, draw. This is draw city, isn't it? I mean, surely to God, this is a draw, isn't it? It looks like it's going to be a draw. What are you saying? 1-0 to QPR, 2-0 to QPR, 1-0 to QPR, 1-1, 1-1. You know something? QPR or a draw? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I'm going to QPR 1, Preston 1. Sit on the fence on that one. You can see why I wanted 1 or 2 of the draws to be non-sat on the fence games. And we move to Sunderland. Let's go to the Stadium of Light and we go Sunderland Norwich. Now Norwich are playing some pretty poor football at times. Draw, win, win, lose, draw, lose. Draw 0-0 away at Portsmouth. And actually I thought Portsmouth should have won that one. A 2-2 draw away at West Brom, which West Brom played really well, and they didn't do their usual, 1 or 2 shots on goal with very few goals, 0 or 1. They actually scored 2 and looked like they could score more. And then Norwich went to Plymouth and got 6. Then they went to Luton and at home to Luton and got 4. 12 goals in 3 games. 12 goals in 3 games, 10 goals in 2 games, and you're thinking, wow. And then they lose 3-0 to QPR, 0-0 against Portsmouth, and lose 2-1 to Burnley. And you're thinking, what happened? I really don't know. And if you're a Norwich fan, I'd love to know what the analogy is from a Norwich fan's point of view, because where's the wheels gone off the cart? It's just, they just seem like you were flying. And then it's like, oh shit, boom, dropped off. But they're playing a Sunderland side who have been just getting back into it of late, and they just seem to be just starting to click a little bit. They lost Bellingham, didn't they, through a red card, I think, and they had another. I think they had another guy out straight after while he was out, so they'd had people who couldn't play overlapping each other game wise. So they've had a few difficulties fitting people in. However, that's, I think, is over. They're going to be as good as they're going to be for the certainly up to Christmas, I think. And I think Sunderland will be too much for them. What are you saying? 2-1 Sunderland, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 1-0. I'm going to go with most of you. Sunderland 2, Norwich 1. Norwich may even get 0, but the Stadium of Light with that extra man from the crowd can be quite intimidating, can't it? Let's go to, is it Sunday? Yeah, West Brom versus Bristol City. Let's go to the Drawthorns. I'm going to go to your comments. And your comments, 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. 1-1. Yeah, right, great. Okay, Drawthorns seems to be the thing. And I said Drawthorns last time, and guess what? They actually won 2-0 to Coventry City. Before that, it was at home. It was 2-2 to Sheffield United. Before that, 2-2 to Norwich City. So they do seem to be scoring when they draw, which wasn't. It was like 0-0 or 1-1 earlier in the season. Now it seems to be 1-1, 2-2. So if they can pull that defence back to being one of the best in the division, you can see them winning quite a lot of these 2-0, 2-1. Will it be this game? Because we've got a Bristol City team that lose, win, lose, draw. They do seem to have got into this 2 games that they've drawn, and realistically, they should have got something a little bit more out of at least one of them. Surely, Portsmouth 3-0 defeat. They just didn't seem to turn up. But the game before that, 4-0 win at home to Plymouth. Bristol do seem to just turn up or not turn up. And it makes it very difficult. I'm going to have to go with the majority of you and go Albion 1, Bristol City 1. Please do like and subscribe. See you later. It's John S.'s Sports Channel. Do like, do subscribe. Please do subscribe. I need as many as I can. Do need to keep going. It is a bit disheartening when people either don't subscribe or subscribe and then disappear and and unsubscribe. Please do like and subscribe. John S.'s Sports Channel, over and out for another Championship prediction video.